I was never supposed to see that video. It was supposed to stay buried on her maid of honor's phone, locked behind inside jokes, too many drinks, and secrets only women like Jenna could stomach. But I saw it. Not because I was snooping, but because she was careless. Or maybe deep down, she wanted me to see. Maybe that smirk she gave me over breakfast the morning after the bachelorette party wasn't just from the champagne. Maybe it was pride. We'd been married 3 months when I found it. I was syncing our shared Google Drive, trying to pull receipts for tax season. Yeah, romantic. I know, when I stumbled across a folder called Vegas_bash_raw. I froze. My hand hovered over the mouse like it was holding a grenade pin. And then I clicked. There were clips of dancing, screaming in a limo, flashing lights in some VIP booth. Harmless stuff, I guess. Until it wasn't. Until I saw her. Jenna, my wife. Wearing white lace, a tiara that said bride TOB, grinding on a guy who wasn't me. Then another clip, her on a balcony, legs wrapped around a man I didn't recognize, kissing him like they'd known each other for years. Another. A hotel hallway. Her heels in her hand, lipstick smeared, whispering shoo as she stumbled into a room with 3 guys cheering behind her. 4. For men. The final video lasted 11 seconds. 11 seconds of her laughing, flushed, whispering into the camera, "Don't be dramatic. It's not that deep." I couldn't breathe. It was like watching someone die, except the corpse was our marriage. I didn't throw the laptop. I didn't call her. I didn't scream. I just sat there, staring at the frozen frame of her smile. That smug little tilt of her head like she was the star of some twisted sitcom, and I was just the dumb husband too blind to read the script. I remember hearing the garage door open. She was home. Groceries, maybe. I could hear her humming something Taylor Swift as she walked through the kitchen. I shut the laptop slowly. Deliberate. My palms were sweating, and yet my face felt cold. Numb. I walked into the hallway. She looked up. "Hey, babe," she said, tossing me a casual glance. "Did you remember to move the laundry?" I nodded. Then I kissed her on the forehead and told her I was going to meet a client in Boston. "Last-minute trip," I said. 2, 3 days max. She barely looked up from the fridge. "Okay. Love you." I watched her pull out a bottle of wine, barefoot, in her little pink robe, the one I bought her for Valentine's Day. And I knew. I knew in that exact moment that I was never coming back. I booked a one-way ticket, withdrew every cent from the account she didn't know about, canceled the lease on the apartment I was about to sign for us, and vanished. No goodbye. No note. Just gone. You don't recover from watching the woman you plan to grow old with say, "It's not that deep," after using your love like toilet paper at a nightclub. You burn the bridge. You salt the earth. And if you're patient enough, you wait. Because karma doesn't knock. It kicks the door down. 3 weeks passed before she even tried to call. I watched the missed calls pile up like junk mail, ignored, meaningless, easily deleted. First it was 1 a day, then 3, then 12. Her text went from, "Hey, where are you?" to "This isn't funny," to "Are you seriously ghosting your wife?" She still hadn't realized what I'd seen. She thought I was having a midlife crisis. Or punishing her for some imaginary offense, like not texting back fast enough or forgetting to buy oat milk. But I was too focused. Too calm. Because while she was spiraling, I was building something. I rented a small cabin 3 states over under a friend's name. I stopped using my cards. I started working freelance again, quiet, cash-only jobs. Clean. Untraceable. And every day, I waited. Waited for her world to start unraveling without me holding it together. It started with the car. I reported it stolen. Technically, it was mine. The dealership agreed. She came out of a yoga class one morning to find it gone. She posted a picture on Instagram with the caption, "Seriously? Some lowlife stole my ride. This city sucks." A week later, the bank froze our joint credit card. I watched her story. Yes, I still watched, like a scientist observing a virus. She was in a restaurant, screaming at the waiter that her card should work. The waiter shrugged. Her friend filmed it, thinking it was funny. It wasn't. Then came the apartment. My name was on the lease. I sent a polite letter to the landlord, followed every legal line, terminated it with 30 days' notice. She didn't see it coming. She thought she'd guilt me back by acting like everything was fine, like I was being the dramatic one. But the eviction notice on the door said otherwise. Finally, she cracked. She called me, sobbing. "Tyler, please, just talk to me. I don't understand what's going on." I listened in silence. "You said you'd love me forever," she whimpered. "You promised, Ty." I stared at the wall, remembering how she moaned another man's name on that balcony. Remembering how her eyes sparkled when she looked into that camera and said, "Don't be dramatic." I saw the videos, I said. Dead silence. You what? The bachelorette party. Vegas. The four guys. I saw all of it. Her voice changed. Like someone flipping a switch. Okay. That was a long time ago. It didn't mean anything. Didn't mean anything? I repeated, almost laughing. You said that like it was brunch with coworkers. Oh my God. Are you really going to throw everything away over that? I didn't answer. You're being so immature. This isn't how adults handle problems. No, I said quietly. Adults don't cause those problems. You're acting like some vindictive psycho. You left me with nothing. I took a deep breath. No, I left you with exactly what you earned. She screamed. I hung up. That was the last time I heard her voice in real time. After that, everything came through lawyers. Divorce. No alimony. No property. No shared anything. Turns out, when you sign a prenup and get caught on tape cheating with four strangers, the judge isn't too sympathetic. Her friends stopped answering her. Her family sided with me. They said they always had a weird feeling about her. They were right. And Jenna? She went quiet online. Deleted everything. Ghost town. I imagined her staring at her phone every night, replaying our last conversation, wondering how a man who loved her that deeply could walk away so easily. She never understood that it wasn't easy. It was just necessary. And necessary things don't need to be fair. They just need to be done. I started sleeping again. The first week after I vanished, I barely closed my eyes. Every time I did, I saw flashes of her on that balcony, her laugh, her arms around some stranger's neck, the glow of city lights behind her like a stage built just for betrayal. But now, the nights were silent. My chest didn't ache when I breathed. My jaw wasn't clenched when I woke up. I didn't reach for her side of the bed only to remember it was empty. No. Now I remembered why it was empty. And it gave me peace. I still had people reaching out, mutual friends who didn't want to take sides, but magically forgot to check on me for 3 months. One of them, Jordan, texted, "You guys seem perfect. What happened?" I sent him the video. Just one. 11 seconds. He never replied. I wasn't trying to humiliate her. I wasn't seeking revenge in the traditional sense. I just wanted the truth to sit beside her like a shadow one she couldn't shake, no matter how hard she tried to pretend it wasn't following her. A few weeks later, I got a message from her maid of honor. Elise, the one who filmed it all. She wrote, "I'm so sorry. I didn't think she'd actually, I should have stopped her. I thought it was just drunk flirting at first. Then it got out of hand." I didn't respond. What was I supposed to say? Thanks for filming the implosion of my future in HD? I moved into a quiet apartment near the coast. Ocean view. Small place, but honest. Nobody lied here. The waves didn't promise love and then rip it away. They just kept moving forward. Just like I did. One morning, I was walking down to the coffee shop when a woman complimented my dog. I don't even own a dog. Turns out he was a stray who started following me around every day, and I just stopped bothering to chase him away. We stood there talking for a bit. She smiled. Kind smile. The kind Jenna used to fake in front of people. But this one felt real. We didn't exchange numbers. Just names. Hers was Olivia. And for the first time in what felt like forever, I didn't feel like I was trying to convince myself to be okay. I was okay. I had nothing left to lose. Nothing tying me to that old life. Nothing except the lesson. The lesson that love without respect is just a lie with good marketing. And Jenna? She messaged me again. 2 months later. Long one. Apologies, breakdowns, gaslight fragments of half-truths stitched together like a sob story. She ended it with, "I hope someday you can forgive me." I wrote one line back. "I already have. I just don't miss you." Then I blocked her. There's something powerful about silence. It's not about ghosting. It's about removing your oxygen from their fire and watching it burn out on its own. She tried to reappear a few months later. Different number, fake name on the caller ID. I wasn't stupid. I recognized her voice the second she said, "Hello." Soft, like she was pretending to be someone else. Like she thought she could sneak her way back into my life if she whispered instead of begged. I didn't say a word. "Tyler? I know it's you. Please don't hang up." I waited. I'm not calling to fight. I'm not calling to fix things. I just wanted to tell you. I miss you. I messed up. I know that. I know I destroyed everything, and you have every right to hate me. But please, Just let me say this. I still said nothing. She took a shaky breath. I lost my job, she said. I got evicted. Jenna took off. Elise moved to Texas. And I've been living with my cousin in a guest room. Everything's gone, Ty. Everything. And I just keep thinking, if I hadn't done what I did, if I hadn't. Her voice cracked. The sob was real. I could feel it through the line. But it didn't move me. It didn't break me. Not anymore. I just needed to say it out loud. I'm sorry. You didn't deserve it. Any of it. There was a pause. Long raw. I finally spoke. You didn't lose me. You threw me away. Then I hung up. I didn't block her this time. I didn't need to. That silence, that was my closure. Because the truth is, she was never going to be sorry for what she did. She was sorry she lost control. Sorry her backup plans fell apart. Sorry the guy she thought would make her feel powerful didn't stick around past the champagne and hotel keys. She wasn't crying over me. She was crying over the mirror, over the reflection of a woman who had nothing left to manipulate. Later that week, I got a letter. No return address, but the handwriting was hers. Inside was a photo from our wedding, me holding her hand at the altar, smiling like an idiot. On the back, she'd written, I wish I had known what real love looked like before I ruined it. I stared at it for a minute, then dropped it into the fire pit on my balcony. Watched it curl, blacken, disappear. That's the thing about fire. It doesn't fix what's broken, but it makes sure you never trip over the same wreckage again. And as that photo turned to ash, I didn't feel anger or pain. I felt something better. Freedom. Weeks turned into months. By then, I'd stopped checking for her name in my inbox. I didn't flinch when I heard songs that used to play in her car. I didn't replay old arguments in the shower, imagining what I should have said. I didn't care. The past became what it was always meant to be, behind me. But life has a twisted sense of humor. It gives you calm, then tosses in a storm just to see if you're really over it. That storm came one afternoon at the grocery store. I was pushing a cart with a basket of eggs and some fresh vegetables when I heard it, her voice. Loud, shrill, unmistakable. Oh my God. Tyler. I turned, and there she was. She looked thinner. Hollow eyes. Designer sunglasses pushed up on her head like she was still clinging to some version of herself that only existed in Instagram memories. She was holding a basket of microwavable meals, nail polish chipped, shoes scuffed. There wasn't a trace of the woman who used to throw tantrums if her avocado toast wasn't photogenic. Wow, she said, forcing a smile. You look good. I said nothing. She laughed nervously. I'm guessing you don't feel like talking, huh? I stayed silent. She sighed and glanced down. I deserved everything. I know. I'm not here to mess anything up. I was just, I don't know, hoping you'd look at me like you used to, even for a second. Still nothing. She looked up at me, eyes glassy. Do you hate me? Finally, I spoke. No. She blinked. You don't. I shook my head. I don't feel anything. And that hit harder than any insult. Her face twitched like I'd slapped her. Because she wanted a reaction. Anger. Sadness. Something. But indifference? That's the death blow. That's when someone knows they become a footnote in your story. I'm trying to get help, she said, voice softer now. Therapy. Fixing things. I didn't realize how broken I was back then. I looked at her one last time. You weren't broken. You were selfish. I turned and walked away. No dramatic exits. No slow-motion soundtrack. Just the quiet squeak of the cartwheels and the low hum of a life moving forward. That night, I met Olivia again. Same beach trail. This time, she had a coffee in her hand and an extra one in the other. I didn't know how you take it, she said, offering it. So I brought two. I smiled. Black, I said. Strong. She smiled back. It wasn't love. Not yet. But it was something rare clean. And whatever came next, I knew one thing for sure. It would never look like what I left behind. A year passed. The silence had roots now, deep ones. I stopped marking time by her absence and started counting it by my own peace. I'd built new routines, ones that didn't involve walking on eggshells or trying to decode passive-aggressive moods. I didn't miss the mind games, the power plays disguised as pillow talk, the way she used to make everything my fault with a sigh and a smile. I was done trying to fix someone who broke me with intention. I sold the last thing that tied me to her, an old storage unit filled with wedding gifts we never used and memories I didn't want. I listed it all in one go. Everything must go. No returns. That included her. Olivia and I had started seeing each other regularly. No pressure. No illusions. Just two people walking parallel paths, figuring it out step by step. She didn't ask too many questions about my past. I didn't offer more than she needed. She respected that. And when she did ask, it wasn't curiosity, it was care. One night, we were sitting on the balcony, wine glasses half full, ocean wind brushing her hair back, when she finally asked, "Do you ever think you could forgive her?" I stared at the waves for a long time. "I already did," I said. "But that doesn't mean I want her back in my life." "Fair." She paused. "Do you still love her?" That one stung, not because of the answer, but because of how long I used to lie to myself about it. "No," I said. "I love the idea of her. And I think she loved the way I made her feel. But that's not love. That's theater." Olivia nodded. No jealousy. No awkward silence. Just understanding. That's what healing feels like. You stop justifying the pain, and you start valuing the peace. I got a letter from Jenna again. This time it was different. No tears. No begging. Just a simple note and a photo of a dog. His name's Baxter. Adopted him last week. Trying to learn what unconditional love looks like. "I'm sorry it took me losing you to understand what I had." No return address. Just her handwriting. Neat. Careful. Like she wanted every letter to matter. I didn't reply. Not because I hated her, but because I didn't owe her closure. She had mine, and she wasted it. A week later, I found myself at a friend's wedding. It was small, tasteful. No over-the-top theatrics. During the vows, I felt something tighten in my chest, not pain, not regret. Just a quiet reminder of everything I'd been through to stand there whole. After the ceremony, Olivia leaned in. "You okay?" I nodded. "Better than okay." "Good," she said. "Because I'm not like her." I looked at her, steady, present, real. "I know," I said. "That's why I'm still here." And that was the moment I knew I had finally closed the chapter for good. Not with fire. Not with revenge. But with truth. And peace. A few days later, I received an unexpected email from an old mutual friend, Derek. We hadn't spoken since the fallout. He was one of the few who'd stayed neutral or silent, which to me felt the same. But this message was different. The subject line just said, "Thought you should know." I opened it, hesitating for a second, unsure if I was ready to let the past tug at me again. Inside was a screenshot. A social media post from Jenna's private account. The caption read, "To the man I betrayed, destroyed, and lost, I see now that what I mistook for control was actually fear. What I called freedom was cowardice. And what I mocked as dramatic was just the sound of a good man breaking." I stared at it for a minute. Not out of pain. Out of disbelief. Because now, she understood. But it didn't matter. When you throw someone into a fire, you don't get credit for handing them a water bottle after the fact. You don't earn points for admitting the truth when there's nothing left to save. Still, I didn't feel bitter. Not anymore. In some strange way, I hoped she meant it. I hoped she found whatever pieces of herself she had scattered chasing strangers and validation. Because even if she never healed, I had. I deleted the email and walked outside. The sun was setting, soft gold light rolling off the waves. Olivia was already waiting by the trail, 2 coffees in hand like always. As we walked, I glanced over at her and said, "Do you believe people can really change?" She thought about it. "I think some people break just enough to want to." I nodded. "Do you want to know what I think the hardest part was?" I asked. "Tell me." It wasn't watching her lie. It wasn't the cheating. It wasn't even the silence after. It was realizing how long I convinced myself that being half-loved was better than being alone. She didn't say anything. She didn't need to. She just took my hand. We walked until it was dark. Later that night, I opened a journal I hadn't touched in a year. The first page was filled with rage, scribbled lines, curses, chaos. I turned to a blank one, and I wrote. The story didn't end where she left. That's where mine finally began. Then I closed it. Not because I was finished, but because the rest of the story didn't need to be written in pain anymore. Spring turned to summer. I didn't mark anniversaries anymore. No mental reminders of when we got engaged, or when we signed that cursed prenup, or when I found the footage that shattered everything. Those dates held no power now. They passed like any other, quiet and irrelevant. One evening, Olivia and I sat on the beach after a long hike. The sky was fire orange, and the ocean shimmered like glass. She leaned into my shoulder, sipping her drink. There was no tension, no masks, just presence, honesty. "You ever wonder how your life might have gone if things had been different?" she asked. I exhaled slowly, considering the question, not with regret, but with distance. If she hadn't cheated? Lied? Made a joke out of everything real. I shrugged. Maybe we'd still be together. But I'd be a smaller man. Numb. Settling. Slowly dissolving into someone I hated. She nodded. And now? Now, I said, I like who I am. There it was. The full circle moment. Not revenge. Not triumph. Just quiet pride. After all the chaos, the manipulation, the gutting realization that love doesn't always come from those who deserve it. I'd rebuilt. From nothing. From silence. From fire. And not just rebuilt. I'd risen. The final message came on a random Thursday afternoon. A handwritten letter. No drama. No emotional blackmail. Just this. If you ever wonder whether it mattered to me, whether I ever really saw you, please know this. I did. I see it now in everything I lost. In every moment, I crave realness and can't find it. I hope whoever has your heart now protects it the way I didn't. I hope she deserves you. Because I didn't. I folded the letter and placed it in a drawer. Not to save it. To remind myself that closure doesn't come from the one who broke you. It comes when you stop bleeding for someone who sharpened the knife with a smile. I walked out onto the balcony and felt the breeze roll over me. Peace. Real peace. No more lies. No more wondering. No more waiting for someone to change. She slept with 4 strangers and called it nothing. I vanished without a word. And what followed was justice, not with noise, not with rage, but with quiet clarity that turned the life she mocked into a life she could never reach again. And that was the end. And my beginning.